I am going to talk about induction. Induction is due to any change in the electric and magnetic fields of which will create an induced voltage. Faraday was the physicist behind this phenomenon, and this law can be quantitatively described as the negative derivative of magnetic flux, where magnetic flux is equal to the magnetic field dotted by the area of a loop. Even though when calculating the induced EMF, the negative sign does not follow. The negative sign represents the idea of an EMF, which opposes the change in flux. Faraday's law is the building block of inductors, generators, transformers, and etc. With every electrical current, there are magnetic fields, alternating currents, which consist of changing magnetic fields, and changing magnetic fields deal with Faraday's law. With these three properties, physicists have observed that magnetic fields are constantly changing, thus constantly creating their own electrical current, which can be felt by a nearby inductor. Thus, within the alternating currents, there are more electrical currents created. Let's look at a real-world example. Cassette tapes use ferromagnetic material, which is iron oxide, to record or play sounds back and forth. Ferromagnetic means that if you expose the material to a magnetic field, the tape will permanently be magnetized by that field, which make them really easy to erase and record. To record sounds, there is an electromagnet that applies a magnetic flux to the oxide on the tape. Thus, the oxide permanently remembers what has just been recorded. The electromagnet used is very small, and a wire is wrapped around its body. During the recording, the audio signal is sent through the wire and creates a magnetic field in the body. Then the magnetic flux forms a pattern to bridge the gap between the electromagnet and the flux, magnetizes the oxide on the tape. When listening to the tape, the motion of the tape creates a magnetic field and thus creates a signal in the wire, which is then amplified to the speakers. In a cassette player, there are two electromagnets, which is where your cassette tape fits with. Thus, these electromagnets are always used in motion, thus creating magnetic fields and sound is generated.